What's up? This is part one of our multi-channel outbound series. Today, we're talking about what channels are out there and which ones should you be paying attention to if you're looking to generate more replies, more leads in 2021. I'm Jack, Chief Lead Generation Officer at salesbread.com. And SalesBread is your sales team on demand. If you're looking to generate one lead per day or more without having to hire and train an army of outreach experts, then we may be able to help you. Go over to salesbread.com/contact and schedule yourself a free 15-minute chat with yours truly. And I'll show you what's working well with not only cold email, but also some multi-channel stuff.
Hi, I'm Jeremy, founder of quickmail.io, and I can vouch for Jack. Definitely worth having the chat with him. I'm the founder of one of the best cold email platform at the moment. And yeah, let's go and talk multi-channel.
Yeah, so I'm going to hit it right back to you, Jeremy. Why is this an important topic in your eyes?
Yeah, why are we talking about this? I mean, cold email, that's all you need, right? Bread and butter, day in, day out for you cold emailers out there. Yeah, why considering multi-channel? That's a bother. That's a hassle. I think it's just purely from if we take one step back, what we're really trying to achieve is results. And that means, positive reply rates. And personally, I'm not that attached to email, despite, having the great cool email outreach software out there. But what's important is to get a positive reply, being able to jump on a call with someone, open a conversation, start a conversation. Sure, email is great. It's been there for ages. It's still probably going to last long. But do we get better results by putting other channels? Is that worth even? Because, maybe that's too much effort for not much, return on the investment in terms of time and money.
Right.
So yes, definitely look into this.
Yeah, so I think there's other factors that are saying or pushing a lot of SDRs, sales teams into this multi-channel world. One of them is there's different tools that are now available. For example, if you wanted to send an SMS campaign 10 years ago, you wouldn't be able to use some automation like QuickMail does for email. Now, Jeremy, you've had an option to be able to send automated SMS too, right? And I think you're continuing to add channels. So it's interesting. I think there's a shift here where there's more places that you can benefit from automation where 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even it wasn't really mature.
Yeah, and that come back to the point of, worth the effort. When you had to do everything manually, even for email, before automation, it was, a lot of effort. And now a lot of things been automated. And I think we see this trend more and more as years pass. And even like QuickMail, we're probably going to add LinkedIn automation pretty soon. So yeah.
Look at that. Okay, cool. So if you have been loving the automation aspect of cold email campaigns, for example, you can apply that same passion towards other channels. So with that, let's talk about which channels are available now that we know why multi-channel is the thing, right? So Jeremy and I have separately built our own lists that we think you should be very much aware of and paying attention to. I think ours are going to be similar, but there'll be a few. I'm going to guess there's 3 differences.
You got 9. I'm curious to see which one you have, because I'm pretty sure you don't have 1 or 2 on my list. So
spoiler alert, the ones Jeremy has that I don't are going to be some like Japanese social media thing that I have never heard of, right? So
yeah,
all right, let's start at the top. At the top. We've got email number 1.
I got email as well. We're good. Okay.
Right.
Checked.
Now,
done.
I want you, listener/viewer, to keep in mind this is not in the order in which you should trigger your multi-channel outreach efforts. So if I say email first, I'm not telling you that's the first touch. So bear that in mind. Let me share number 2. I'm going with my hot channel at the moment, LinkedIn.
Yep. Got
No
that too.
surprise,
Yeah, no
right?
surprise. Okay.
I will take a sidestep for a moment because within LinkedIn, there's a couple of ways that I can do outreach on that one channel. So let me walk down this path here. So, Jeremy, I can send you an invite where I can really use that to say anything I want. In fact, most campaigns, I'm going to write a personalized, hey, let's connect thing that stands out in a good way. But on some campaigns, specifically if you have something to buy right away, I've got two instances where I've used this, where I just straight go for the ask in that invite message, and I'm getting almost a 60% response rate for those who accept. So if you have something that's really valuable, you may just want to write it right there in the invite. Okay, next.
Hold on. I will just
Hit
put
me.
one more point is like, it's great to have something valuable, but the targeting is super important, right? So you know
Oh,
that the people you're
absolutely.
contacting are going to want what you want, what you have. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I'll just give you a concrete example, Jeremy. Let's say I
Oh,
wanted to
yes.
buy quick mail and I
Okay.
had $30 million that I
Okay.
was
We
ready to
can talk.
negotiate with, right? Right. If I put that in an invite message, you might, if I put the offer amount and then my phone, my cell phone, I'd probably get a call,
Yeah,
right?
and that's the point. And if you actually contact, a person in support or development or marketing, they may not really care that you want to buy quick mail. So
Fair enough. Okay, so
good
that's number
stuff.
one. I can do outreach through an invite. If you're already in my first degree network, I can send you a message. It's free of charge. And a lot of times LinkedIn will carry that a little bit further. It'll buzz your phone and it'll email the person and it'll show up next time they log into LinkedIn. So just with the message, there's some multi-channel going on. Next, I can pay for an in-mail.
Yeah.
So if you already have a SalesNav account, you get something like 60. Yeah, Jeremy says no, but yeah, why are you saying no? In-mail's not working for you?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't find them to be very effective either. But as a last resort, I will stick an in-mail step at the bottom of my sequence when I've tried everything. It's kind of like a Hail Mary, right?
Hey, I know you
And
you marked me as spam me, don't know me, spam me, but please
try
reply
again.
to this email. I was like, not gonna
That's
happen,
true.
man.
All right, what about this? There's one more way that I can do outreach on LinkedIn, and that is commenting directly on a piece that you wrote. Let's say, Jeremy, you made a post on your definitive guide to cold email. You may see a comment that I leave in there. You'd have to be very crafty about getting that person's attention through a comment because it is public, but at the very least, you may be able to use that as a starting point to build a relationship. But okay, within LinkedIn,
Well,
four
no,
ways
no.
that you can
I
do
think
outbound.
that's very important. Is that the multi-channel strategy is not necessarily to get a reply at each channel you use. So, for example, I could well be go on LinkedIn, post a comment to the great post that Jack did, and then send a cold email asking like, "Hey, Jack, I just commented on your post,"
Yeah,
or it's like
good
building
point.
awareness could be a part of your multi-step campaign. It doesn't have to be a direct correlation between each step on your campaign is leading to a reply.
Well said. I know some people right now that are doing profile visit
There
so
you
that
go.
they show up on the right, and
Yep,
then a post comment, and then an invite, and then so yeah, you can get really detailed with this.
that's
So
right.
with that though, let's move on. Jeremy, what's next on your list for channels here?
I got the good old fun. It's like first step, send an email. Second step, bring the phone and say, "Hey, just send you an email. Did you receive it?" It works. It works. It's not something that a lot of people like doing, but every time I talk to people who have fun step in their campaign, they always say the
Working.
same thing. Works. And I think it's because
Right.
not many people do it.
Yeah, and to that, I'm not complaining that I don't get that many cold calls, but I can see a lot of value for an SDR for a scrappy company looking to just get more replies, which is what we're here to do. So, all right, so we've got a
One
voice
last
step.
thing. That could be your
Hit me.
first step. You phone in order to figure out who's the decision maker at this company, right? Again, a step in multi-channel doesn't necessarily mean it's a reply.
Good point. Good point. Okay, cool. So then I've got phone here on my list as well, but I've broken it down to 4 different steps within a phone. So you
Oh,
can
okay.
pick up the phone and say, hello, make a voice call. Number 2, you can do an SMS. And Jeremy, I'm stealing your thunder. I know you had SMS on your campaign for sure.
Yep.
I'm going to add 2 that you might not have, though, and tell me if you don't have them. Ringless voicemail. So it's 100% automated. My voice just goes to their voicemail, and
Yeah,
I don't have to do something.
we don't have that in Europe, so it's really weird, but okay. Yeah, I know it's
Okay.
a thing in US. I didn't have that
It
one.
is a thing.
Damn.
And what's nice is, like, going back to our first conversation, automation, it's 100% automated. So that, I think, is bringing it into the multi-channel fold a little bit more
Yeah.
popular than the voicemail, than the voice call. But there's one last one. Let's say you want to add a phone step, but you just don't have that person's cell phone. You check their email, their LinkedIn. You can't find it on any directories. You could add a company phone step where you call
Oh, I like
the
that.
1-800 number of the company and then do a little bit of, let's say, door knocking and gate crashing in order to get through to that individual. See if the receptionist will route you through. Right.
Good one.
So, okay, so I'm seeing patterns here. It's nice. Like, within a channel, there's a couple different plays here. Let's carry on here. And now we're getting into social, I'm afraid. What
Yeah.
do you got next?
Okay. Well, no, I don't want to feel the thunder because you actually asked me, hey, Jeremy, can we do that in certain social media? So I'm pretty sure you're going to have it on your list. But I'm going to say
Okay.
2 things that you may not have thought of. The first one is snail mail.
I got it.
Damn, you got it. It's basically just, a writing
Direct
letter.
mail. Direct mail.
Direct mail, that's the word. But
Yeah.
hey, the interesting thing is that some people are very clever with that. In our software, you have the ability to add a step that we call a checkpoint. And with that checkpoint, it's basically all it is that they link it to Zapier. So whenever it reaches checkpoint, it does something in Zapier. And basically, you can do whatever you want. And some people find a way to, there are some services where all you have to do is to send some data, and then it will send automatically the a pre-written, a card, like handwritten. And I feel like, man, that's so cool. So basically, they add that as part. It's very difficult to figure out, the return in terms of, is that because people won't reply basically with your card. So you need to be sort of clever on your card into how you contact that person back and so on. But yeah, that's what people are using.
But it's cheap. It's relatively cheap still.
Yes.
I imagine you may spend, take a random guess, but close to $1 per written and sent out mailer. And if it boosts your response by 1%, then that's a brain dead obvious thing, right? Direct mail, it may make a comeback, Jeremy, where it could fall into the, I don't know, more tech savvy sales teams. That I'd be interested to see if people start using better data to target really, really well and execute these like automated direct mail campaigns before the phone step. Hey, that way when you call, you may say, hey, did you get the key that I sent you? And it links to this direct mail thing. So anyways,
I love it.
Well said there. Okay, before we dive into,
I got another one
social.
I can build on.
Oh, hit me.
If that's
Hit me.
There is something I'd love to do. I don't know how to automate. If you know how to automate, please contact me. It's the ability to send automatically Amazon gifts, not gift cards, but Amazon. Like I want to, for example, have a campaign where I'm sending a book to people. So I want to send a book and then contact the person after that, like asking them like, hey, did you receive the book I sent you? And obviously, put a note. And every time I do that, I have to go directly into Amazon, enter the email address, and then do it. So it's very costly in terms of manual work, and I'd love to automate that. And last time I checked with Amazon, there is no way to automate like bulk import or stuff like that.
So would it be for a single book?
Yes, it's basically for SaaS businesses that are playing the game of land and expand. So you send a physical book to a team or to someone in a team, and you basically try to single target that person because you know that if they get one seat, then it's going to spread in the company kind of thing. So it's very useful, and it's still something that is not used that much, and it still brings value. It's like, hey, here's a book on cold email.
Let's spend a second here. Would it have to be a book that you wrote?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay, so I do know that you can buy 100 volumes of a particular book and then have a separate, let's say, drop shipping company say, okay, here's 100 addresses, send one to each. You'd probably have to
You're
leave
right.
Amazon in order to
You
do that,
probably
right?
wouldn't need to go through Amazon, but
But
that would work.
but think about this. Well, I've heard of a campaign where somebody looked up the individual's Amazon wish list and ordered something on
Ooh,
their own wish list and say, "Hey, I bought you that razor
fuck,
that
it's
you were
awesome.
eyeballing," right? Right. And so, yeah, somebody did that with Rand Fishkin at Moz. They sent him a thing that had on the wish list in order to get like a backlink at Moz, and the person didn't get it, but he did get a response, right? So, anyways, we're getting creative. I like that. What's next on your list, Jeremy?
I think it's your turn. Go for it. You want to
Here we
go
go.
for the social stuff.
I don't. I don't. So I'm going to do something else. I'm going to say website. And within the website, there are two places that I can contact the company, right? And that would be the obvious contact page. So they're, they've got a submission box right there that you can use. And Jeremy, you and I have destroyed this tactic when we went to Japan and we weren't legally allowed to cold email, and it worked really well.
Yeah.
I'll give you a tip. You're going to want to, at companies larger than one, you're going to want to direct that mail with a question of appropriate person. Basically, who would I talk to about X? Just really short and simple. Hopefully, they read that, and it shouldn't be slimy or salesy at all. It should be just a genuine inquiry for the right person. They will contact you probably by email, and you've got the response there. But there's also one other website area you can use to do outreach, and I stole this from you, Jeremy. That's the chat box. So if a chat box pops up, you have a human being probably on the other end that can
Not
do
a
the same thing, but
chatbot,
maybe a little
but
quicker.
yeah, but a live chat, because chatbot.
That's right.
Give me the email of
A chat box.
box. Okay, I heard
Yeah,
bots,
yeah, yeah.
and I was like, well, those stuff will never give you anything. You can't even get the freaking damn information on the
There you
website.
go.
So let
There you
alone
go.
some information about the founder or someone.
Okay. So
But
we
yeah,
got website. Hit me with the next one.
oh, that's a great one. The chat, I didn't think of this one. It's like, damn, that's good. Um, Next one, I would say it's a pre warm up step, which is basically ads. So you manage to actually put some ads, whether it's on LinkedIn ads or oh, that's interesting. I don't really think they did other ads, but basically they go on LinkedIn, they create their ads with the list of companies they want to reach out to, and the title. And usually, that's how they pre-warm like a first. Oh no, Facebook as well is the other thing that people are doing. They got their list of email, they create a custom, well, they create an audience out of this list, and then they're basically targeting those people and just to raise the awareness. And then 2 weeks later, they
Yeah.
start, doing the cold outreach.
So you mentioned Facebook. Perhaps we should go down what I'm calling other social media channels,
Okay,
because
do it.
LinkedIn in my book gets its own category. Other social gets lumped in with the rest of them. So I do pay attention to Twitter if your audience likes it. If your audience likes it, it's a huge waste of time if you're reaching out to folks that just ain't on the platform, right? But authors, or let's say media consumers, people who fancy themselves
Influencers,
as thinkers, influencers,
yeah,
right? Content creators, you're going to probably have some response on Twitter.
journalists for PR. Mhm.
Very good. Yeah. So I'm curious, Jeremy, have you ever used Twitter to do any kind of outreach?
Well, here's a little known story: is we have a Twitter step in QuickMail. I just never made it public.
Why not?
Because Twitter's got their own sort of rules in terms of the quota ratio of email of tweets can't be the same tweet and all those sort of thing, which basically it would have been a hassle to support, and no one really asked
Yeah.
me for it or wanted it, and I'm
Okay.
like, why do I bloat, the tool? But
Fair
I
enough.
did it, and it was working, which was funny.
I like that. Yeah. So I know
It may come
people
back.
that it may. So there's been campaigns where people would be listening to the Twitter sphere for anyone mentioning I need a bookkeeper, right? And so they would have a few keywords that would alert them, and they would just reply to their comment or comment on their tweet, right? Um, and they say it worked. They say it got some clients. So yeah, I would pay attention to Twitter.
That's a great
While
buying
we're on
signal,
social,
right? What else
it
do you
is.
actually want? It's like a best intent. It's like, I need a
Yeah. So
bookkeeper. Oh, well, I'm
it's,
here.
I mean, for that, you'd maybe want to set up an alert. So you can set up a Twitter alert whenever a filter occurs, you can get notified. But while we're on social, Jeremy, you're going to be the probably expert for this category here. Help me out. What's next? Obviously, Facebook.
Yeah, that's my last one, Facebook Messenger. You can effectively just outreach directly to people if they have a Facebook page
Yep.
and if that's also okay-ish, because a lot of people consider more Facebook. I mean, it's interesting to see that each channel's got their sort of like own
Yeah.
positioning in a sense. So obviously Facebook is way more like casual. So that could work when you're contacting fellow people that, people that you want to
Peers.
interact with. Yeah, peers. Peers is a
Mm.
good word. Yeah.
Okay. I threw on Instagram. Again, it depends who you're going
I
after.
forgot that one.
Bloggers. Yeah, anybody in the influencer type space. Just know your audience, right? And if you find that they're active there and you're able to look them up and have a decent hit rate where you're reaching out to that person that you also matches on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
then I do think it makes sense, right? Jeremy, you schooled me on a new social media thing. Is
Oh,
that
Clubhouse.
part of it?
I don't
Clubhouse?
think I don't think there's a way to automate a lot of things on Clubhouse at the moment. So it's still very
Yeah.
early stage. Everyone's sort of like figuring out, what to do with this sort of things. I think it's too early.
Okay.
We may in the future. I was thinking also as YouTube, but as a step, it's probably the one that I use when I'm going for YouTube outreach. The thing that I do is I look at their contact details, and it's purely for promotional stuff, like we did, for example, for the Wolf of Wall Street. Just
That's right.
grab there and then just purely propose something like, hey, what's your rate for sponsored episode or stuff
Yeah.
like that. So it's not really a
Fair
step
enough.
as in YouTube step. It's more getting the prospecting
A
side.
step for acquiring data.
That's
Okay, so
right.
I've got one more channel on my list.
So you win.
In person. In person,
Oh.
right? So if you're doing a geo-specific campaign with, let's say, buyers nearby, pre-COVID, and let's say hopefully not too far away from today, you can still do business at events, at conferences. I'm not going to put door to door on there. That's one thing that I would not look at all, even though it's been done. I would avoid it. But yeah, events, you can figure out how to tie this in where we've done campaigns that lead up to a conference. And so um, a month out, you may send a direct mail piece. And then 3 months out, you may send an email and then connect on LinkedIn. Hey, we're going to this. And so when they connect, maybe you send them a text. And by the time the conference begins, you have this group of people that have already engaged with you. You can say, hey, look, we're over here at, I don't know, this diner. We're doing a little like lunch before the thing starts. And at that point, you've done the hard work. You've met the people you want to meet, and you've used the event to bring it all together.
Makes sense. It's a good one.
Yeah. The question for your decision on which ones you should use and how you should use it depends on your audience, depends on what data points you have as well. So you may not know the mailing address, you may not know the Twitter accounts, but keep in mind, if you connect with someone on LinkedIn, a lot of times, well, 95% of the time you will get an email, and 35% of the time you will get a phone. That's usually their cell phone in their pocket. So you may use that to acquire the phone number. Yeah, so just know your audience, right?
Yeah, that's right. So what's been working in 2021, like Jack said, it depends on your audience. But what I find it works for most people, or is a safe bet, is definitely LinkedIn and email, and fun as well to some extent. If you actually,
SMS. I'm going to add SMS as a no-brainer.
it's true. You
If
have a
you,
good story about SMS actually. You don't have to share it. That's okay.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll keep the story for another cast, but I do know it works surprisingly well, shockingly well, I would probably add. You just have to make sure that you're targeting the right person and you're writing something that they would truly care about, or else it's kind of abusive. The nice thing with SMS is that the open rate is very close to 100%. So as long as
Yeah,
you
crazy.
can craft that message well, you should see a good response, enough to really test it out in 2021. Jeremy, thanks for a great cast.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Awesome cast.
Awesome.